Hello everybody, Marcus Godwin here with the Shum Vremeni Noise of Time blog from St. Petersburg, Russia. I had planned to talk today about some of the historical significance of certain amendments of the Constitution that were made more than 3 weeks ago now in a public referendum here. However, the events unfolding in Belarus are unfolding so fast that I feel it's time to start commenting on this. Probably there will be follow-ups because the situation is changing as I speak. What seems to be happening there, unbelievably really, when you see how it played out in Ukraine and so on and so forth, is a full-blown colour revolution with provocations, planning from the EU, the USA, just as happened in Ukraine and Kiev and so on, except for the time being there's no Maidan, there's no permanent tents and so on and so forth. What to say? Well, there are certain things that me, as an unpaid journalist, as not a politician belonging to any country, any party, so maybe I can get away with saying a few things. I would particularly like to explain actually to those of you who are not part of the Russian world and so on, that I can probably get away with saying the obvious fact. Belarus is not a real country. Belarus is just part of the Russian world, basically part of Russia. Many new countries, which had never been countries before, were formed when the so-called collapse of the Soviet Union occurred, i.e. the controlled demolition of the Soviet Union, which was set up in a putsch 70 years earlier in 1917 by the Western satanic banking elite cabal to overthrow the Russian Empire and to destroy world Christianity. They didn't quite succeed. There are many very long stories in all of that. Let's go. Some of the countries in the Russian Empire and in the Soviet Union, most countries that were in the Russian Empire ended up being in the Soviet Union too, with the exception of Finland, and it lost some of its territory just before the Second World War. Baltic states were not part of the Soviet Union before World War II, but then became part of it. Western Ukraine had never been part of the Russian Empire and was not part of the Soviet Union until the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact either. That's another very long story, which is very well worth covering, because it's from there that the Ukrainian nationalism seeped through, again, what is basically a fake country. Some countries which are definitely not fake are, for example, Georgia and Armenia, both of which are more than twice as old as Russia itself. Baltic states are not fake countries either. Belarus is. What I've been saying for so long, if only Belarus would rejoin the Russian Federation in some way. They should already have had a referendum for this to take place. Because what is happening now, make no mistake, the purpose of what is happening now is to cleave Belarus completely away from Russia and to put it part of the Western camp, which will mean, if that succeeds, the idea, of course, is to have NATO troops, like the satanic plague, at the gates of Smolensk. This is inconceivable if that happens. I mean, hopefully it's not going to happen. Why has this happened? Why can they get away with it again? Well, many reasons. Lukashenko, the Belarusian president, of 26 years standing today, has made... there is a side to his country which has turned out really very well. There's another side which has not. 10 years ago, many Russian people used to look up to Belarus in many ways as a country that had more law and order than Russia, that where citizens were more tidy and didn't throw litter all over the place as they do in Russia and Ukraine. Still, the situation's getting a bit better, but it's still, a little bit depressing to say the least. Belarusian products were considered very fresh, free of chemicals and genetic modification and so on. People trusted Belarusian food products more than they trusted homegrown Russian ones here. This now has changed, not because Belarus got worse, but because Russia got much, much better, especially the investment in agriculture and homegrown products since the sanctions over the reunification of Crimea with Russia, etc., etc., etc. what has happened this time is that, well, the election was basically, roughly speaking, 80% for President Lukashenko and 10% for the opposition. Many people say this was faked, it was not real, that the election was fixed. I don't know. Maybe. What I know is this. Maybe there was election fraud in places in Belarus, or maybe there wasn't. It's impossible, really. I mean, just think about this. That kind of majority cannot be totally faked. You can fake something where it's 45, 55% or less, like the Brexit vote was, 52, 48%, etc., etc. That kind of margin can be altered by election fraud and so on. Such a massive support for the incumbent president, which basically represents, in the long term, Belarus staying in the Russian camp, Belarus remaining part of the Russian world. However, President Lukashenko has, on many occasions, been tempted and carried it out to try and play off the EU and the West against Russia for some gains here and some gains there, to try and get cheaper gas prices and oil prices, etc., etc. Some serious commentators, who I respect very much, say also that Russia's own attitude to the Belarusian government and people has sometimes been too condescending. Again, I'm not really qualified to comment on that, whether that's really true or not. Yeah, what cannot be allowed to happen is civil war in Belarus, as we have in Ukraine, or a Western takeover of Belarus, as has happened in most of Ukraine, except, of course, for Crimea, which was never Ukrainian. I repeat, Crimea was never, in reality, part of Ukraine. This was just a Western trick. The existence of Belarus as an independent state is also a Western trick with one goal, to bring about the final destruction of Russia. Believe me, this is pretty much the only thing that gets the true Western elites, those who are running your show over there, out of bed in the morning, is the dream of once and for all destroying the 1,000-year-old civilization of Christian Russia. And this is what this is all about. It's just another step on the road. I hope that some kind of peace settlement can be found now. It is undoubtedly true that Belarusian police were extraordinarily heavy-handed. And I could see in some interviews just ordinary people there, not kind of pro-Western youngsters and so on, just ordinary, normal kind of families were deeply shocked by the level of violence. Let me stress again that the police violence was in no way worse than the French police violence against the Yellow Vests, or what we've been seeing in the United States over the last 3 months, or what we're seeing in Australia right now. But the trouble is, in Belarus, again, just like Russia, as I said in an earlier blog, these countries are seriously losing their youth to seductive Western soft power on internet. As in Russia, I'm sure it's exactly the same in Belarus. I've had several Belarusian guests come to stay at my place, and some young ones, and they all say that they look to the EU as a more prosperous way of living than what they have in Belarus now, and so on. This today, I'm afraid, in 2020, is absolutely insane. It's literally insane. There's not much more you can say about this. 20, 30 years ago, yeah, of course the West looked much more comfortable than the Russian world, than Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, etc., etc. Now this is really not the case. So anyway, Belarus did not have a referendum to join the Russian Federation. Most Russians, when I mention this, they kind of laugh and say, oh, that's never going to happen. They just don't believe that they can thwart the West in that kind of way. But it's really a pity that didn't happen, because if it had, this would not be possible. Colour revolutions in Russia for the moment are simply not working. They're absolutely not working, in spite of all the sanctions, in spite of all everything the West has tried to do. it's just not happening. So if it happens in Belarus, if it works, and if some kind of Western leader, I mean, I don't understand, I forget her name, Svetlana, whoever she is, the main opposition leader, who only got 10%. She says it was really she got more. Yeah, maybe she got more, but she didn't get more than 50%. This is nonsense. Why did she leave the country immediately? Why is she now in Lithuania, a country whose elites are absolute puppets of the US and the EU, Brussels, satanic cabal, and is a profound enemy of Russia, of course. Again, the people there are not, like everywhere. It all comes from the ruling elites. So watch this space. This blog is not, this particular theme is certainly not finished. I'll be keeping you updated as much as I can, because I'm kind of back in action now. And this is a very distressing and disturbing story, actually, for those who understand what's going on. If you're in the West and you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm sorry to have to tell you again. I know it's hard to accept, but your televisions are totally lying to you about anything and everything concerning Russia, the Russian world, concerning Syria, concerning Iran, North Korea, and of course also concerning COVID virus. So this is it for now. If you like this and want to hear more, please consider contributing. This is Marcus Godwin signing off in St. Petersburg, Russia, on Vasilevsky Island, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.